Hello, this is Mad Cat, and welcome to another edition of Boobs and Dicks Smash the Matriarchy. As always, I am Dix.
And I am Boobs.
I probably should switch it off from you so people can see my studly face. So, this week is officially the most disastrous week of my YouTube career. Because this week we were supposed to have two shows featuring Australia, one being Cobra Cat, which was supposed to be at 9 a.m., and unfortunately we couldn't get confirmation from two of the people that we were hoping to be on. So we decided to have Cobra Cat at its normal time so Modern Medusa could sleep in. And then do, actually we did it later that day because she had to take her car in. But then we were like, okay, we'll combine the two shows together. And then pretty much everyone but one person just kind of dropped out. Like, and I won't go into specific details and I won't mention who. But then one person who was like trying to organize all of this to talk about Australia on our channel, like 1 hour ago, he contacted me to make sure that we were still doing it today. And he's not here. So, and then, of course, yesterday with the roast, that was just like a disaster, in all honesty. I mean, I appreciate the people who came.
I did not think it was that bad.
What's up? What'd you say, bitch?
I said I didn't think it was that bad. I thought it was pretty funny. Or at least I was pretty funny.
You were pretty funny. Although, you know, maybe you should get your head out of my ass. I'm just saying.
I know. It's like, it's just been so long. It's cozy.
So maybe he'll show up. I'm hoping he does because, you know, we put so much. I mean, we're doing this at 9 a.m. You know, I usually do work at 9 a.m. So, you know, it's like, but
I'm not even.
You know, we do have a backup option. We'll still do our Australian show, just with no actual Australians.
But if Australians want to come on, then they can.
We have kind of sent the group. We have sent out a link to our chat group, so we might get someone random to pop in. We don't know, but Warped Reflections, so good to see you. Australia internet is meant to be pish. Maybe his connection died. That's certainly possible.
Hi, Warped. I completely forgot I could have invited Suit Yourself. I don't like think of him as Australian. I hear his voice and I don't think Australian. I don't know why. Maybe because I watch Bearing a lot, but it's like I don't even notice accents anymore.
So, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of do a year in review so far of Australia, some of the things out there that are a bit concerning, because the way I look at Australia is that it's in a worse shape when it comes to feminism and social justice warrior and Muslim. Now, of course, my contact in Australia told me that he thought that as Canada is in the worst shape possible. And I mean, that could be up for debate right there. Who has it worse? But when I think about like the Red Pill movie, that got banned in 2 locations in Australia. I don't think it got banned anywhere in Canada, though.
That's interesting.
Someone can correct me on that, but it seems that, in my opinion, Australia seems to really cave into politics of feminism and social justice warrior more than anyone else. But I guess that's really open for debate. Who's worse, Canada or Australia? Probably should log out of my trillion. All right, so we'll start off with Australian kids behaving badly in classrooms, the report says. So basically, this article is about how kids in Australia are behaving badly. One teacher had 3 year 9 boys skip her class and smear poo all over the school gymnasium walls,
That's
while
awesome.
others had been cursed with a full spectrum of profanities.
That's fucking hilarious. Oh my god.
Like, really, really wrong.
Was the child like mentally challenged, or were they just insane?
It doesn't say, but it's, according to the Program for International Student Assessment, about 1/3 of students in advantaged schools and about half those in disadvantaged schools report that in most or every class there was a noise and disorder. Students didn't listen to what the teacher said, and the students found it difficult to learn. So let's look at some of the complaints. These are from teachers. They just didn't listen to a word I said. They shouted across the room and pushed and shoved each other and threw things around the room. The worksheets I handed out got scrunched up, covered in glue and torn. Would someone please think of the worksheets? Okay, let's look at another. I taught a boy whose grandfather was a Nazi, so he wanted to debate with the class that killing the Jews was in fact the right thing to do.
Fuck yeah. I want. If I was
this one, I'm actually.
If I was
this
a
next
teacher,
one,
I would record that shit.
Is it on YouTube? The whole class tried to stand on the desk or hide under the desk before the teacher turned around.
That's just a prank.
Yeah, I mean, it's a prank. Come on. That's awesome that your kids try to do something united. Yeah, it's annoying the teacher, but still, I mean, come on.
Have you seen the picture of like the classroom full of people who suddenly all put Dora masks on as soon as the Spanish teacher turned around?
No, I have not.
It's just funny.
All right, and the last one. The brightest student in the year would hold his breath with frustration and anger and then go bright red with hysterical crying tantrum. Now, one thing that I'm noticing in this is it keeps mentioning boys. Boy here. That doesn't really say anything about gender here or here, but then this one, his. And then up here we had 3 9-year boys. So so according to there's a problem also in Tasmania and New South Wales. About 14,500 students, around 760 schools participated in PISA. Maybe you should come up with another name than PISA. I'd piss on your face. Using science classes as an example, it said on that the average, more than 44% of Australian students indicate there was a noise and disorder. Half of the students in Tasmania and nearly half of the students in New South Wales reported this problem occurring most frequently. Students in Tasmania most frequently reported students didn't listen to what the teacher said. In contrast, students in each Victoria and South Australian, 30%, and Northern Territory, 29%, were least likely to report the teachers waits long for students to quiet down. So yeah, saying that the respect is gone, blah, blah, blah. Now, if I had people from Australia on here, maybe they could explain this a little bit to me, but I'm betting that the problem that they're having is probably the same one that they're having in America, in that the school system has been redesigned to cater to girls.
Yeah.
Hold on, the guys contacted me.
Well, my mom and I actually haven't told you about this yet, Mad Cat. She sees how schools don't really give a shit anymore, especially about boys. And we're actually thinking about starting a campaign for her, separate from our stuff that's going on. But a campaign, to get like caring teachers back in schools and to stop, or to put more hands-on stuff, care more about, the individual instead of the class as a whole. And just like, just support, what's it called? She says it all the time. Like servant teaching or something like that, like serving, just being a teacher that serves her students instead of criticizing them and patronizing them.
No, I think that's in order, in all honesty. We're in need of schools that are going to actually help students learn and not just assume the bare minimum, like the lowest common denominator. Well, if this one student can only learn this one way, then all the students need to learn that way. I mean, that was the problem I had when I was in school. Like, I'm highly intelligent, and yet I felt so stupid. Oh, my fucking God. So the people that were... all right, I'm going to have to mute myself real quick. Go ahead and take over for a moment, Vanessa.
Okay. But yeah. Schools, I mean, like, me growing up, I didn't have so much of a problem. Like, some teachers would just fuck with me because they didn't like me, I guess. Like, so some people just didn't like me because I was either weird or I guess too quiet. I'm not really sure why, but yeah. Andrew, you want to say what you were gonna say earlier?
What was I gonna say?
Something about Canada?
Oh, I just got back from Canada. Everybody was really nice to me. I don't know.
You obviously didn't meet any feminists, though.
I might have. There was a lot of...
Okay, no feminists that wanted to school you on your white male privilege.
Well, I had just had a seizure, so I don't think anybody was planning on schooling me on anything because it would have been really easy.
Yeah, well, also really cruel.
So did the feminists cause the seizure?
Yes, it's all their fault. It's Canada's fault.
Okay, so the two guests that we were supposed to have on might be on. They decided to call me through Skype, even though I told them that I was in Google Hangouts. Don't know what that's about, but I got them the link. Hopefully they'll be able to come in and we can do our show as planned. And maybe we can ask them about the Australia Kids thing. So Robert!
Hello!
Robert.
How are you?
It's been an interesting morning.
It's been an interesting evening. How are you guys?
Good.
Doing great.
Good. There we go.
So before we start, Before we start with the actual show, talking about Australian children, as you can see on the page here, that they're behaving badly in classrooms. And in the United States, we're kind of having this problem as well because the education system is designed for girls, and it takes away things like playtime or like recess and things like that, and tries to force students to learn in a way that they're not comfortable with. And of course, they're acting out. And I'm wondering, is that a similar problem in Australia?
I think that it is, but I think that maybe the way it's being applied is different. I've been watching the. I'm aware of that problem in the US, particularly with the declining size of lunch breaks and so forth. I don't think that's happened. That particular aspect is happening as badly here. I've been watching the amount of time kids are actually spending at lunch and so forth in the 2 breaks, and it seems to be fairly static over time. But that doesn't mean there aren't other issues. I've observed kids. My own daughter is in grade 5 at the moment, and I've watched when I would go to pick her up from school or whatever classrooms, and I'd look to see which kids were in trouble, and it was invariably the boys. And I suspect that there are still problems with them not able to burn off enough energy. But yeah, I think we have a different set of problems in Australia. That's my suspicion.
I agree with that.
Yeah, one of the things that was reported on is that some boys in year 9 skipped class and smeared poo all over the school gymnasium walls.
Yeah.
I
But
thought
most
it was
of the
funny
report-
too.
What's up? All
I
right.
would have made them clean
I
it
feel
up.
sorry for the cleaners. I feel sorry for the cleaners. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I feel sorry for the cleaners too. I've done plenty of jobs where I'm the cleaner.
Tom, I haven't seen you face to face in a while. You're looking good.
Who is? Who is?
I haven't seen you face to face for a while. You're looking good.
So anyway,
Who? Who are you talking about? Me?
Yeah.
Me? Oh shit!
Yeah.
I'm an old fat bastard.
beautiful. Okay, we got it.
I haven't looked good for 20 years.
Okay, we got a show, guys.
Cool.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and start the show. This is a little unorthodox, but whatever, we're here. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about ICMI, which is a men's conference being held in Australia. I believe that's in August, right?
It's actually June. June.
So it's going to be held in June. And then we're going to discuss a little bit about the kind of a state of affairs in Australia. We've kind of already talked about that a little bit, but let's go with the ICMI. Now, the first person we got with us today is TV Esperanto. How are you doing, sir?
Oh, well, you know, I'm drunk, but apart from that, I'm fine.
All right. And can you tell us a bit about yourself for people who may not know you?
Well, yeah, I mean, I founded Men's Rights Sydney and Men's Rights Australia with Adrian Johnson. We both were basically the prime movers of Australian. I guess, as far as I know, we're the prime movers of Australian men's rights activism in Australia. So it was Men's Rights Sydney, then it was Men's Rights Australia, then we went down to Melbourne and we started Men's Rights Melbourne. Then Men's Rights Brisbane, we sort of talked to a few guys in Brisbane and they ran with it like they wouldn't believe. Like they are just kicking ass up there. Yeah, and there's a couple of guys in Brisbane in Perth that we're talking to, and they are kicking ass as well. So yeah, we're really happy with the way things are going in Australia.
And next we have Mr. Rock. Rock. Yes, I'm going to now call you Rock. The Rock.
The Rock.
That's not so bad. That's not so bad.
Robert Brockway. Did I say that right?
Brockway.
Brockway. All right.
Brockaway's good.
I don't have your name in front of me, so I'm trying to have to remember what it is. I like The Rock better, though. That's just a lot easier. Can you tell us a bit about yourself?
Certainly, I'm managing editor of A Voice for Men. I'm also involved with Men's Rights Australia and Men's Rights Brisbane that Tom mentioned earlier. So yeah, I'm one of the people that's organising the International Conference on Men's Issues on the Gold Coast in 2017.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and you're kicking
Hey,
ass.
go.
You can't go?
So, for those who don't know, ICMI stands for International Conference for Men's Issues.
International Conference on
And-
Men's Issues. Yeah.
On men's issues. Okay, and there's been one before, and that was on Canada, right?
Actually, no, there've been two. Actually, there was one in Detroit, and in 2014, and then the second one was in London in 2016, and then we've got the third International Conference on Men's Issues.
Yep.
Okay, that's fantastic. I'm glad that we are having these conferences. So what was the decision for it being in Australia?
Well,
Was that just like?
I'll go. So I think
Go ahead.
there's a couple of reasons. Firstly, it can be quite difficult for Aussies to get over to North America and Europe and so forth. I made the trip over for ICMI 16 in London, but it was a very long trip. It was great, but it was a very long trip over. Not a lot of people can make that, so we decided we'd give Aussies an opportunity to attend an ICMI. But also, there's the fact that feminism is very, very strong here in Australia. Social justice warriors, same thing. So I happen to say that I think Melbourne, one of our cities, is the social justice capital of the world. But anyway, that was the other reason that we decided to run it in Australia as well.
Well, and one of the things I said at the beginning of the show is that from the news sources that I see, it looks like Australia is at the front of it with feminism and social justice warriors. They're getting the worst. And when I told that to TV here, he kind of like, well, that's how I think Canada looks like. So it's like kind of up for debate who has it worse, Canada or Australia. But I'm voting Australia.
I would agree that I think the two front runners are certainly Canada and Australia. Exactly. At that point, you've got a debate about which one is the front. I would say at the moment, it's probably Australia, unfortunately. A lot of you may not realise, by the way, I've actually lived in Canada as well. So, in fact, I used to even spend a bit of time at the University of Toronto, where we know a number of those seminal events actually occurred. I used to actually work there.
Another thing I pointed out is I know that the Red Pill movie got banned in 2 theaters in Sydney, but I can't think of any that got banned in Canada.
It was actually Melbourne that the first one got banned. Yeah, and Sydney was banned because it was held at a university, and we ended up getting around that by basically being sneaky bastards. And basically not telling them that we were going to hold an event, and we did. And then we're holding another one actually on the 18th, which is like 2 days from now or something. Actually, tomorrow. It's tomorrow.
Yeah. They're kicking ass in Sydney now. They're playing them all the time. It's great.
Yeah, we're getting them out there.
I was just going to say go on.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that in Brisbane, we did announce our screening, but what we didn't announce we didn't announce the venue. So we kept the venue secret until right before the showing. In fact, we emailed people who purchased tickets the morning of the showing for the venue. The venue was really great. They were fully supportive. They actually saw it prior to the public screening. They were really happy with the documentary, happy to show it. We had a fantastic showing, 186 tickets in the end. And then we were the first city to have a showing without having a cancelled showing first in Australia.
Yeah, it was the first time in Australia. First time in Australia.
Exactly. And the only way we could manage it was to hide the venue.
Yeah.
Well, luckily here in the States, I hosted one in Philadelphia, and there was no problem whatsoever. So I got lucky.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the ICMI because, once again, just having a conference for men's issues. Is there any sort of difficulties with that, especially being in Australia? Like, did you get any sort of pushback in the planning stages?
There's been some concerns. Yeah, we're actually keeping the venue for ICMI secret as well for precisely the same reasons. So we'll probably announce it a few days before. It's still under discussion at the moment. Yeah, there has been a bit of pushback, but nothing too serious. We've we've as I said, got a lot of support from the venue of the ICMI venue as well as the Red Pill venue. We think that when the venue is revealed, which will happen a few days before, there might be a bit of pushback on the venue at that point. But we want to make it as close to as possible to the time. But the venue is aware of that, and they said that they agree with having the a men's conference, and they recognise that the importance of it. So they're not going to bow to that pressure. So they've actually said that to us.
That's awesome.
Awesome.
Now, did you have something, TV?
No, I was just saying it's great that they're not going to bow to that pressure.
Yeah. So, who would be some Australian speakers there that we might not have heard of that would be?
Well,
yeah, that's a good
the
question.
main one. Yeah, sorry, I was going to say the main one is probably. The main one is probably Mark Latham, I would think, who was nearly our Prime Minister. I mean, he was very close to being our Prime Minister. And he only missed out by a hair's breadth, really. And he is very vocal about men's rights and about how feminism has, distorted and lied about things. So, I mean, that's great. I mean, I think that's fantastic. And the fact that this guy was nearly our Prime Minister is an amazing thing. But we've got a lot of journalists and things that I'm sure Rob could probably give us a better idea of. But yeah, that's definitely the number one draw card as far as I'm concerned.
While Mark Latham may not be known to people outside Australia, he's obviously, having been a former leader of the opposition and came very close to being Prime Minister, he's very, very well known in Australia. He continues, actually, I think I've got a TV show going at the moment, and he appears on a lot of other TV shows, and he often talks about the problems, particularly the problems of feminism, but he's also more recently been talking about the problems facing men and boys, and it's been really great. I saw a segment with him just the other day, and it was really great to see he was getting that message out to a wider audience. It was great.
Yep, absolutely.
But yes, some of the other people we have. Go on, make it.
Well, I was going to ask about other people.
So yeah, so in terms of Aussies, we've got quite a few interesting people actually. There's Miranda Devine that you may not have heard of outside Australia, though she's very well known here. She's a journalist, definitely on the conservative side. I think she makes no bones about that fact that that's her position. Bettina Arndt, who's actually a former sex therapist, and awesome. She's awesome, and she's very well known. She's been out there championing men's issues for a number of years now. Really going out and talking about the issues, and again getting it out to a wider audience. And she also she appears on radio regularly and has appeared on TV too, talking about the issues. There's Dr. Greg Canning, who was involved with AVFM for a while. And Dr. Canning is a practicing medical doctor, and he's I think there's certain areas certainly that he's interested in that probably relate to his medical practice, but he's been out there really campaigning for men's issues over many, many years. So he's one of the older MRAs we have in Australia, actually, is Dr. Canning, and he comes from the far north.
His wife is also a psychologist, I believe.
Right. Okay. Actually, I didn't realise that.
She is, and I believe she has very similar views.
It'd be good to meet him, actually. I've spoken to Greg a number of times, but I've never had an opportunity to meet him in person. So this will be the first time that I'll have been able to meet him in person, which would be great.
Yeah,
that's of course one.
Same with me. I'd love to meet him. He's a great guy.
A quick question for you, Robert. Do you have a Twitter account?
I do. Brockway, I think. I don't use Twitter very much, but let me see. I was actually surprised to discover that just last night that Femi Theist is following me on Twitter. Here we go. RT Brockway at RT Brockway. Yep. So at RT Brockway.
Yeah, we're trying to let people on here talking about this. So.
What's that? Sorry, Tom.
I was just saying, can you say that again, Medusa? I missed what you said. Hello.
I don't hear Medusa.
Medusa.
Is she there?
Hello.
Hello.
I just wanted to know what you said. I missed what you said. I would just like to hear what you said.
Oh, shit. Now I fucking forgot. Oh yeah, I said me and the Prometheus have had some lovely conversations. Plus, I drew her on my channel.
Oh, wonderful.
Oh, you drew it? Oh, cool. I have to check it out. Cool. So, regarding ICMI.
In the Titanic where she was like completely nude and you were just painting her?
Oh, yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I'm sure I've had dreams like that.
So, are there any sort of special events that are going to be happening at ICMI this year that would be of particular interest?
There certainly are, and I'm glad you asked. So we're actually having a screening of The Red Pill on the Friday night. So the ICMI is June 9 to 11, 2017. June 9 is the Friday. So we're having a screening of The Red Pill, and then we're having a New Zealand hungy afterwards. I can explain.
Awesome.
Exactly. I can explain a hungy for those who don't know what it is. The conference proper will be starting on Saturday. So we'll basically be going from around about 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. But Saturday night, we have another screening of a documentary as well. So I don't know if we've got the details on the website yet. No, they're not up yet. But we do have another documentary. So most everything is included in the one purchase price. But the exception is the hungy on Friday night, which is a separate purchase. And there's the Saturday night movie will be included for people who have tickets to the conference, but it'll actually be open to others to attend as well if they want to just pay for the documentary on Saturday night separately.
Cool.
So we've got an action-packed 3 days.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you what, if you're a fat bastard like me, hungy, you do not want to miss it. You do not want to miss it because it is the best food ever.
Hungy is traditional Maori way of preparing food. I believe traditionally the food is cooked underground over many hours. I believe traditionally it was done in banana leaves. Obviously these days there's more modern materials that can be used. But the food comes out tasting. It's absolutely amazing. It really is. So really looking forward to it. What's that, sorry?
It
sounds like
wow.
Yeah, a number of cultures have similar sorts of food, and it's really great. I actually, Brian Scandrett and I actually went down and tasted the food from the organisation that's going to be preparing it for us on the Friday night. Absolutely delicious.
Yeah.
I wish I was going. I mean, one, I'd love to visit Australia. Although it used to be because I wanted to like hook up with the chicks down there, but now I'm like afraid of Australian chicks because it's like too many of them are feminist.
Yeah.
But also good food. But I was wondering, are you in talks with any of the hotels in the area?
Yes, we are. And I can't talk too much about the area because I don't want to give away the venue, but we have actually put up a few hotels that are in the general area of the venue. Yes, we're booking obviously hotels for speakers and so forth, but as I said, we have put up some hotels in that area at least to give a starting point for people attending the conference. But the conference is being held on the Gold Coast, which is really the premier tourist destination in Australia. So we really have no shortage of hotels in the area. So there should be, and it's also the winter season. It's winter here, which is the off season. So that's actually keeping the cost of hotels down as well.
Yeah, plenty of hotels, plenty of
Yep.
attractions that are
Exactly.
open and looking for your business.
So for overseas visitors, there are a number of overseas visitors, and most of them are making it a holiday in Australia. Obviously, people are taking the opportunity to do a bit of tourism right here on the. I actually live on the Gold Coast. I'm proud to stay, and we have 5 theme parks here, and we've got, countless attractions of all varieties. So it's a great place. So there's always something to do on the Gold Coast, and so we've set it up here. There's plenty of nature parks that are not too far away from the venue, where if you want to see Aussie animals and so forth. In fact, we're toying with the idea of having just an informal get together after ICMI, where some of us will go down probably to one of the nature parks and go, look at the kangaroos and the koalas and do all the other things. Maybe a platypus if we can manage it.
And of course, you've also got the things like Dream World and what's it called?
Movie World. We've got the 5 theme parks.
Yeah,
exactly.
Movie World,
Yep.
Movie World, yeah, and SeaWorld and all those other things.
Exactly. That's right.
Lots of theme parks.
There's lots of great stuff to do on the Gold Coast. So I'd say any overseas visitors, the best thing to do is make a holiday of it, and maybe see other parts of Australia as well. There's lots of great things to see.
Yeah, my wife just got back from Uluru actually, so she had a great time. Yeah.
That's Ayers Rock for those who don't know.
Yeah, Ayers Rock, yes. Yeah.
So going back to the conference itself, is there a message that you're trying to promote this year, or a general theme that's going to run through the course of the days of? That's
a great question, Mad Cat, and there absolutely is. Awesome. It's actually building bridges, but it's building bridges between men and women. That's the theme of the conference, and really there's a focus. Obviously, within men's rights activism, you've got different aspects. There's a lot of people, talk about the problems with feminism and so forth. The focus of this being the 3rd ICMI is really more on the specific issues facing men and boys, more so than say talking about say feminism and the problems there. So it really is a focus on the issues. We've also got the theme being building bridges between men and women.
I think that's a great message because the vast majority of women are not feminists. And
exactly.
And a lot of women do resonate with our message.
Yep.
And I think that's fantastic. And just the message that we are not anti-woman, we are anti-feminist is a very important one, I believe.
Yeah, I want to say interesting that how feminists will often try to shut down things like this, saying that it's a woman when you're actually trying to make connections with people, whether they're feminists or not. You just want to spread the message, and then it's them who don't want to build the bridges. It's them who don't want other ideas coming, their way, because if it goes against what they think is right in their head, then anti-woman automatically.
Yeah, exactly.
And the thing is,
absolutely.
There are many male feminists. So the idea that saying something that anti-feminism equates to being anti-woman automatically excludes all the male feminists.
Exactly, which they go to straight away.
So will there be any aspect of it streaming, say, on YouTube?
I'm sure there will be.
Yeah, it's still under discussion, and we're still looking at the logistics of it at the moment. Like with the previous ICMIs, the talks will eventually be available. But yeah, we still have the streaming aspect. We have to still get a bit of logistics sorted out there. See what happens.
It probably won't be streaming, but it will be recorded and put on YouTube eventually. Yeah, like the previous couple have been.
Exactly, that's right. That's probably how I think things will work out.
I think so too. Yeah.
Now, are tickets still available for purchase?
Yeah, they are.
Absolutely, they are. And the early bird pricing end of March.
March, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
March.
right.
Got extended, yeah. It was originally the end of February, but we've made it the end of March. Yep. So
Right,
prices go up on the 1st of April.
And how much is
get
the
in there
early
now.
bird and how much will it
One
go
day
up?
I will go to
Sorry,
I'll just
Medusa,
tell
what was that?
I said one day I'll be going to one when I have money.
Yeah.
Cool.
And one day I'll be invited to talk at one.
We both will.
That's right.
Well, I'm going to be doing the grunt work, so I'll actually get a free ticket because I'm going to be doing grunt work. So
Yeah, we've got we've already got jobs organised for Tom. So so the price is $250 US at the moment. That includes meals and so forth, and at least the breakfast and lunch, and $300 US are from April 1st. So they're better to get in with the early bird pricing.
Absolutely, especially with the hungy, you got to get into that
Exactly.
hungy.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the state of Australia. We've mentioned a few things. So is there anything that's happening lately that's a cause for concern for, say, men's rights or anti-feminists?
Oh shit, yeah. We got a lot of stuff. There's so much stuff happening in early childhood education and things like that that are really worrying. I'm very, because I've got young kids. I've got an 8-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old son, and what they're being exposed to at school is extremely scary. And I've certainly been opposing it. So it's nasty indeed. But I'm sure that Rob can give you more information about that, or Medusa perhaps.
Go on, Medusa.
Oh, she was saying hi to Red Robot.
Oh, okay. I read Robot.
I see. Oh,
So
Yeah,
there's
how you
this.
doing? Sorry.
There you go. So there's a few different things going on in the school system itself that are fairly concerning. White Ribbon Australia has partners with schools in a number of Australian states, and in which they get the boys to stand up and pledge that they will not commit violence against women, but of course don't require any equivalent pledge from the girls. The anecdotal evidence we get is even a lot of the girls are really horrified by this and feel terribly sorry for the boys and the way they're being treated. There's really a different one message being sent to the girls with pushing for the victim mentality, and another message to the boys. And rather than recognizing the reality of domestic violence, which is that very high proportion of it is reciprocal, and so they're ignoring half of the problem. And this is being pushed through even from the school system. There's other issues. One issue we're having at the moment, which touches on men's rights. There's a few different areas that touch on men's rights, at least in terms of the attempt by feminists and social justice warriors to abolish the concept of gender. One that's come up recently in the last few days is they're wanting to make all school uniforms gender neutral. So there's this pushback from the community on that. So they don't want boys and girls uniforms anymore, for example. So if a boy wants to wear a dress to school, for example, that would be fine or whatever. So now my concern is for that sort of thing is that it's part of a political push to abolish the concept of gender, to push this concept that gender is a social construct, and that flies in the face of all of the evidence.
Yeah, that is one thing that I've seen a lot come out of Australia is the education, and that, as Warped Reflection mentioned in the chat, it seems like there's been a lot pushed on children, especially young children, about concepts that they don't really need to be concerned with, issues of being able to choose your gender. And I believe I saw somewhere that there's a school in Australia that when you register your child, you also have to register what gender they identify with. And it's like, that is the most absurd thing I've ever heard, that you have to not only register what gender they were at birth, but what they preferred to be referred to as. And it's like, you know, when I was 8 years old, you know, I wanted to be a girl, you know, but I, you know, as I grew up, I was kind of happy with being a boy. But now it's like we're trying to indoctrinate children that being anything other than male is okay.
Yeah,
exactly.
Pretty much.
And I think that's
the way it goes. Yeah, exactly. It's like if you're not male, well, then you're okay. If you're a cis white male, then that's, you know, you're somehow defective. Anything else is fine.
And I do have a concern that they're not pushing, they're not talking about these things in a gender, in an age appropriate manner, I should say. Where I think perhaps they are in some cases exposing these concepts to the younger children, perhaps at a time when they're not really able to understand them.
I agree. I think it's way too young. I mean, you're talking about 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds being exposed to this sort of stuff. It's just not right.
Exactly.
No,
I mean,
and a point that I like
they can't handle this stuff.
Yeah, the point like I like to make on this is it's like if you're saying that a child is capable of making a decision about what their gender is, then you're also saying that they're capable of having sex.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, it's a similar
life-changing decisions to make for someone, and if you don't feel comfortable with them having sex, then you shouldn't feel comfortable about them deciding what their gender is.
That's a very good point. My concern is particularly with hormone treatments and even operations that they're being encouraged to make permanent choices about their that will affect them permanently before they have the capability and the capacity to recognize the implications of that.
Exactly.
And it's really going ahead 100% at the moment here.
Yeah.
And we have to stop it.
So moving on from schools, while this is like a great conversation, I do want to try to get a couple of different issues going at once because I am trying to make it to like the 90-minute mark. I'm going to do a screen share. I did pull up some articles from feed for pretty much 2017 and some of the issues that are going on, and I would love to get your responses to these to maybe help us understand the context a little bit better. This was an article in Forbes about Australia, how far Australia has come in terms of gender equality. And according to their stats, it was saying that 46.2% of the local workforce is women. Majority are part-time workers, followed by casual employees, and a third are employed full-time. Now, it goes on to say that there's been this push to have 30% female directors on ASX 200 boards, which I imagine is similar to the Fortune 500.
Very similar. Yeah.
That's right, exactly.
And 53 companies have reached the target thus far. 42% of the new appointments up until January 2017. And then there are 22 that don't have female directors at all.
Mm-hmm.
Then it states that the inequality is further entrenched when one considers the percentage of female representation in the ASX 300 with 25.3%. And it's like, wow, what this is actually saying here is that it's starting to create a I just had the word too, but basically they're trying to push women into positions of power and not necessarily the best person for the position.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, the whole concept of, you know, women being only a certain percentage of, you know, CEOs or higher management is a complete furphy, because the thing is that it's about you know, ability rather than the amount of women that want to go into these things. It's basically saying that the equality of outcome is more important than equality of opportunity. So if we give everyone the same opportunity, women are not going to necessarily want to go into these things, into the high end, 70 hours a week. I mean, who wants to do that? Very few men,
Exactly.
even fewer women.
Fewer women. That's right.
Yeah,
And this
exactly.
is the thing. What I find amazing is that, I mean, research going back decades by Warren Farrell and many other people demonstrate that a lot of the differences, like the earnings gap, there's not a wage gap between men and women. There certainly is an earnings gap between men and women. A lot of that, the lack of representation in women and higher boards and so forth, a lot of it comes down to men's and women's choices. And if you, one of the interesting things about the feminist position is if you really look at what they're saying, they basically keep arguing that the way men do things is better than the way women do things. They keep arguing that women should be working longer hours, for example, and we should be earning higher money. Now, I would actually, my argument is actually that women tend to maintain a better work-life balance. That's the other side of women on average earning less money. And I have to say that that's a really good idea. And I actually actively encourage men to do that. And this is something I do myself. I used to be a contractor, and I would go out and bust a gut and work long hours. And I'm not kidding you. I fell down the stairs once at home, and I got up and I went to work because I didn't want, and I thought I'd broken my toe, and I went to work because I didn't want to miss out on a day's pay, okay? Because I was a contractor, didn't have any sick leave. Another time, I bruised a kidney, and I went to work, right? Now, my wife has actually always encouraged me to maintain a better work-life balance. And since I've got more involved with men's rights activism over the last few years, and I've started to see the difference in the way men and women work, and I've realised that that's a good thing to look at, I have actively maintained a better work-life balance. And now, if I'm sick, I do rest at home and get better rather than do something silly like fall down the stairs and get up and go to work. So now the feminists are actually arguing that women should be going out and busting a gut the way that mostly men do. I would actually argue that men should be maintaining a better work-life balance and working more the way women do.
I absolutely 100% agree. I think the fact that women are earning less but having a better work-life balance is a good thing, is something that they should be doing, and men should be following their example.
Exactly.
Well,
yep.
Yeah.
Another point I want to bring up with all of this, and the reason why I made the argument about putting women into a position of power and not necessarily the best person for the job, is there has been studies done on companies ran by women versus companies ran by men. And while there are not a lot of companies that are run by women, like female CEOs or females on boards, those that do have tend to do poorer than businesses run by men.
Yeah, Mike Buchanan has a lot to say about this.
And in no way am I saying that women can't do the job. I think women can do the job, but it takes a certain mindset that men just naturally have about being cutthroat, about being greedy, about being risk takers. That unless women kind of grow up into that kind of environment, they tend not to have that mentality. They tend to be more of a nurturing type, trying to make sure everyone has what they need versus what is best for the business as a whole.
Sure.
I'd also argue that a true meritocracy in which the best people rise to the top, irrespective of their gender, should be optimum. If any, I would argue that any sort of artificial barrier you put in place would be suboptimal and prevent the best people from rising to the top. Whether you said that a half have to be women or a third have to be women or half have to be not born over in Australia or something like that, whatever arbitrary line you draw in the sand gets in the way of a meritocracy. And I think if you analyze companies, I would expect the companies that had those sort of arbitrary lines, arbitrary restrictions, would do worse on average because they weren't allowing for a merit-based board. But I think your argument is also valid about men being perhaps more cutthroat about it.
I agree completely. I think you're absolutely on target there. Anything you do to reduce the meritocracy, basically, is a problem. It is bad.
Yes.
It's it's reducing the efficiency of the marketplace, I guess, is the way you would describe it. Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point, actually, good way to put it. And of course, one of the things that I think is virtually universal among MRAs is the argument for equality of opportunity. That if you listen to what MRAs all around the world, even from the conservative end of the men's rights movement through to the more liberal end, people are saying, let's give everybody an equal opportunity, and some people will naturally be better at certain things. And if that happens to be women in some cases or men in other cases, that's not what's important. What is important is people get the opportunity to be the best they can.
Absolutely. Sorry,
all right. So, great discussion. I want to go ahead and move on.
Sorry.
To talk about this thing that happened fairly recently.
Sorry, Maggot. I just wanted to. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. But Medusa was actually trying to say something before. I would like to hear from her, actually.
Was I? I don't. When?
Oh, okay. Well, if that's the case, forget about it.
No, go ahead, my cat.
Sorry, I apologize.
This recently came in the news that basically in Australia they're replacing crossing lights symbol now, whereas before it was just a stick figure. Now we have to put a dress.
Yeah.
Are they saying to like warrant this?
Yeah. I'm really surprised that the feminists are going for this, because they're arguing that women are wearing dresses.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Yeah.
The stick figure is actually
and a whisk.
What about the transgender? What about the transgender women who decide they want to wear trousers?
Well, the thing is, men and women in our society do wear trousers. The stick figure is actually fairly generic.
Right, like that's the dumbest thing. Like, it was completely genderless, and they just made it gendered.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Somehow make it fair.
Actually, I argue that with the inclusion of the dress, that means that the stick figure is naked, and this woman is topless.
Oh yeah.
There's her nipples right there.
I will know why the homeless people are jacking it in the corner.
Yeah.
Because there are no clothing on the stick figure. Who was it that said it? It was some British guy. Maybe it was Sargon or maybe Bering. Bering's not British, but someone with an accent saying, "What are you going to do next?"
Someone with an accent. Someone with an accent.
What did they say?
That's awesome. Sorry.
So, anyways, they were saying, "What are you going to do next?" Complain that the woman is too skinny and end up having a fat chick on the crossing guard.
It should be a fat woman. It should be a fat woman.
Don't give them ideas.
With a guide dog. And
I saw like a thing that had like a bunch of different like diverse lights and shit, and they were like next lights that they're gonna put up.
No, it should definitely be a guide dog with a woman with a guide dog and a fat woman with a guide dog.
Yeah.
And
Well, the next one is going to be a hijab, right?
Oh yeah, I got it.
A crippled.
Gotta include that.
A crippled woman with a guide dog, in a wheelchair, on her way to a job.
and make sure she's single and don't need no man.
So another thing that came up, I thought this was interesting. I understood it happening in the United States, but when Trump got elected president or finally sworn in, there was a protest in Australia against it.
I never understood that.
When
I
who was
never
started?
understood why the hell that was.
Yeah, we've had protests here. And what's particularly funny is people are holding up protest signs saying, not our president. And the answer is, well, yeah, he's not your president.
He's not our president. Exactly. You wonder
I just
how
kind of like how
these people are.
picture of the people holding the sign. She's just holding us a banner that says "Women are awesome," and it's like, why do you have to? Why do you have to do that? Why do you have to label an entire gender as awesome generally?
Exactly.
Just to make yourself feel good.
Yeah.
Because women need to be patted on the
there
back every 5
There are
seconds.
approximately 3.7 billion female humans on this planet, if we're going to include women and girls, right? Maybe about 2.5 billion women. And she's really making a call about 2.5 billion grown women. That they're all awesome.
Yeah. Every single one.
I don't buy it.
Actually, I think this is a code, MREE. So whatever MREE, that's what she's actually holding up a sign for.
MRE, what the hell does that mean?
I don't know, but I mean, that's the code that I've deciphered from her sign.
From the black E's, from the black letters.
Yeah. Awesome.
Makes more sense than what's on it.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yep. Absolutely.
And then Rose Jackson. Can you tell us anything about her? Because apparently she was saying that the NSW labor or whatever was homophobic, sexist, highly factionalized, and too white.
Well, I mean, that's what they say about everyone. I mean, you know, it could be anyone. NSW
You know she's
labor.
white, right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't know that she does, actually.
I mean, she's very white.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like Skrillex on in that one video. It's like, but you're a white male, and it's like, sorry, you dude. What's your point?
I Skrillex, yeah. I Skrillex. He's a gem, that guy.
So has she left this job?
Yeah, she should be like, you know, throwing her job away for some black.
But I'm saying, if she leaves, it'll be less white.
Exactly. She needs to throw her job away and give it to a black person, so they can it can be more justified. Exactly. Absolutely.
Make sure they're fat too.
Yeah. Fat, poor, ugly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Can't have anybody sexualizing them in the workplace.
No, of course not. No. You won't do any of that. No. They got to be the most, you know, unobjectified person you can think of.
And then also, this was a funny one that I saw. ISIS using feminists to lure Australian women into becoming jihadi brides.
Yep, not many of them.
We saw a video a couple of weeks ago, me and Vanessa, where this Australian TV reporter is trying to interview this Muslim man, and he wouldn't answer any of her questions at all, and then criticize her. He's like, why do you bring me on the show if you don't let me answer the questions the way I want to?
Yeah, he was really, really just like avoiding the question so badly. Basically, the question she was asking was like, do you condemn beheadings? And he wouldn't condemn it. He just wouldn't. Right. No matter how many times she asked.
They just ended up arguing about him not answering the question more than him answering.
Pretty much that was it. Exactly. It was just like, you know, we'll get to that, but in the meantime, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, it reminds
Yeah.
me of this video I once saw where this, I guess this Jewish man was speaking at a college campus, probably like UC Berkeley, and this Muslim woman comes up and starts criticizing him, like, why do you keep attacking all of these Muslims and this specific group? And he basically is asked, are you a part of this specific group that wants to kill all Jews? And at first, she wouldn't answer the question at all. It's like, well, I don't see what that has to do with anything. You want you to answer my questions. And by the end of it, she's like, yes, I'm a part of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Jeez. What?
They have to really dig.
I wanna kill Jews, but I'm a nice guy.
You're a guy?
Or no, you're the bad guy. I want to kill Jews, but you're the bad guy. That's how it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's exactly the way it goes. Like it really is.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I do read that there is a Muslim problem in Australia, that it really looks like they're trying to push Sharia law and all of that. But of course, I'm only getting my basically news media, which then there's always for every one story like that, there's like 10 stories about how Muslims are being misunderstood.
Well, I mean, it's true. I mean,
Would
there are some sections of the Muslim population that do want Sharia law, but then there's a large population that aren't trying to get that happening. So it's difficult to sort of say that, it's difficult to say that they're all the same. They're not really, but there are certainly a certain section that are trying for it.
I was going to say that the situation in Australia is a little, with regard to its Muslim minority, is a little bit different to some other countries in a couple of different ways. Australia is quite lucky in that it is an island continent surrounded by water. We have strong immigration rules and so forth, and so there've been less of the problems that say the UK has seen or that Europe has seen and so forth. There's also another aspect a little bit different, that a very high proportion of Muslims in Australia are of Lebanese origin. So Australia took in a lot of Lebanese immigrants in the past, in the 70s and 80s. So we've had a fairly substantial Muslim community arriving at that time. There's actually Muslims have been in Australia since the 19th century. A lot of people don't know this, but when Australia was when the Europeans in Australia were going and expanding out into the desert, they didn't know anything about deserts. And they got Afghans to come over and basically teach them how to live in the desert.
Yep.
So we've actually had like an Afghan community since the 19th century, and camels since the 19th century. But anyway, whereas in, say, places like Europe, you might see a larger proportion of population, a Muslim population, being from different parts of the world. In Australia, a high proportion, I think, are from Lebanon. And of course, a lot of them were fleeing the Lebanese civil war. So they've got a particular perspective too on the Middle East from that.
Yep.
So we've had relatively few terrorist attacks, for example, here over the last few years compared to the US or Europe.
Yep.
All right. So another thing that I sometimes hear about, especially from the social justice warriors in Australia, is about Indigenous people. And I can imagine that it's a sensitive topic. It's like talking to an American about Native Americans. But I was wondering if you could shed any light on this. Like, is there any actual problems with Indigenous people, or is that like blown up in the media?
The main
Do you want to go first, Tom, or shall I? Go ahead.
Well, okay. If you don't mind, I'll go. Yeah, look, the main problem is that it's very similar to the US problem. You've got a lot of alcohol problem. You've got a lot of, welfare issues. It's very similar to the Native American problem. We've got a lot of Aboriginal issues that a lot of them they just sort of hang out and drink. They're drunk all the time. They have a lot of domestic violence domestic abuse problems in the sort of outback areas, and even in the cities. There's a lot of problem. Like I live in a suburb called Newtown of Sydney, and right next door is the suburb of Redfern, which is got a lot of Aboriginal issues, a lot of Aboriginal people there, and a lot of the issues affect us quite significantly. But it's basically drugs, alcohol, a lack of social responsibility, welfare issues, things like that. It's very, very similar to what you've got in the US. So I wouldn't say it's any different, really, much different at all, really. But it's a terrible problem, and it's something that I wish we could sort out.
One thing I was just going to, if you're done, Tom, I might jump in with some thoughts.
Yep.
So I've often I used to live overseas, and people would criticise Australia and say, "Oh, you've really got to spend some money to fix the problem with the Aborigines." And my point would be, there's no shortage of money. The government has plenty of money they're prepared to put at the problem, and they've done so in a variety of ways. But very, very few of the programs have ever been successful. Aboriginal Australians have a life expectancy about 20 years less than the rest of the community. Domestic violence rates, as Tom mentioned, are enormous compared to the rest of the community. In fact, this is another point that White Women Australia and Our Watts barely touch on. These are feminist domestic violence organisations. They barely touch on this. They talk about the domestic violence rate across Australia, and they talk about it being a particular rate of violence against women and so forth. But what they fail to mention is a very high proportion of that actually falls within the Indigenous community. And in actual fact, that's one of many, many problems. There's some other very serious problems in the Indigenous community. Sexual abuse of children is a huge problem. There was actually a case some years ago, an elderly Aboriginal man sexually assaulted a girl. He was convicted in court, and the judge gave him a lesser sentence than would have happened to any other member of the community, they argued, because it was more culturally acceptable. Now, there was a huge backlash from the community over that, and he was resentenced. But it goes to show that there is this huge problem in the Aboriginal community. We have something called the stolen generation. This was over a long period of time. There were government programs to often well-meaning, but often failed in their objective. What they would do is they would remove Aboriginal children from Aboriginal families and often put them in what amounted to orphanages, and they would not be treated well. They were often not allowed to speak their own language and so forth. There were a lot of problems there. But what's happened is now there are situations where Aboriginal children may genuinely need to be removed from their parents for their own safety, and the government is actually reticent to do that for accusations that they're continuing with the stolen generation of taking Aboriginal children away. But in some of these cases, these children need to be for their own protection, and there are documented cases where this has become quite where they're not as likely to do it with Aboriginal children. So these problems are ongoing. I would say nobody here has got a good solution for it. One of the few programs that really worked, I don't know if it's actually still on actually, because it was heavily criticized, even though it demonstrated to work. They linked government benefits for what we call here the dole, that's the unemployment benefit. They linked it for parents to school attendance rates for the children. Yeah. And they found that, and so if the parents didn't send their kids to school, their dole payments were reduced or withheld. And that actually had a positive effect. The school attendance rates went up in the Indigenous community. That going right back to the 90s, that program was in place. But again, it was criticised. So there's a program that was genuinely working, and people were actually in the wider community were critical of it. So it's an ongoing problem. The life expectancy of Aboriginal Australians is still about 20 years less, I believe. We're looking for solutions. I think the situation is maybe slightly improving, but it's a long road. It really is. I know, and as I think as Tom mentioned, also huge problems with drug abuse, alcohol abuse. The Aboriginal children in remote communities had a huge problem until recently. They were sniffing petroleum,
Petrol.
sniffing
Yeah.
gasoline, petrol, what you Americans will call gas, and of course getting a cheap high out of it. And the Australian government convinced all of the petroleum manufacturers in Australia to produce a version which you can't get high on to
Opal.
supply to outback areas. Right.
Opal.
Sorry,
Opal fuel. Yep.
Okay, thank you. So that's now supplied to outback areas, so the Aboriginal children can't get high on it, and Aboriginal adults as well. It's a little bit more expensive to produce, but the government managed to encourage the petroleum supply producers to do that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So
ongoing problems though.
want to go ahead and wind up here. I want to ask one question to the both of you about Australia as a whole, things going on with feminism, social justice warrior, and pretty much everything we've talked about. One thing that I've said about the response that we see of feminism today in the first world, specifically in the United States and the UK, but mostly the US, is that what we're seeing right now, the idea that an animal is most dangerous when it is wounded, and that feminism is now on the decline. It's now starting to lose. But what feminism is trying to do at this point, in light of that, is trying to double down, trying to do as much as they can with their mentality of their, like, this is how things should be. So we're going to be more aggressive in getting it. And the way I view this is, because this is happening, this is actually a good thing. It means that they're losing, and they're just trying to do as much damage as they can before they go out. Could you ascribe that mentality I have to how things are going in Australia, that things seem to be worse now because feminists know that they're losing?
I'd like to. I would like to be able to say that that's happening. I do agree. I think that the fact that feminists are doubling down. I mean, as Vox Day says, you know, SJWs always lie, and when they don't lie, or after they lie, they double down. But I can't see that happening really in Australia. I really do feel like it's they are losing, but not in that way. It's more like the people are help me out here, mate.
No, I agree 100%. By the way, I think you're right. But
yeah,
go on.
Yeah. No. You take it. I can't really sort of.
No, I absolutely agree. Actually, it's correct that feminism is starting to decline here, as it is throughout the world.
Yes.
However, feminism is heavily entrenched in our government here and in the media, and it's going to be a long time before that stranglehold is broken. So while I think maybe the broader community, that's true, that it's in decline, many of the people in our society in very powerful positions are dedicated feminists and dedicated to their ideology and believe firmly that the gender is a social construct in spite of all the evidence. For example, it's going to be a long time before we can really redress that balance, I think.
I agree. Yep.
All right. Well, I thank you both for coming on. This journey to this day has been quite interesting. A lot of things didn't quite work out the way we wanted them to, but I think we still had a very good show. So I thank you both for that.
Thank you.
But definitely the ICMI, that is a big, important thing. Tickets are still available, but the location is secret, so shh.
I can tell you, it's on the Gold Coast. I did
literally, like where the beach is, the coast right there, it's right there.
Exactly. Well, that's what we call our city. See, it's such a lovely city, we decided to call it the Gold Coast. Can I make a couple more comments about ICMI, Madcap, before we go?
You go for it.
So going to an ICMI, I mean, there are a lot of great videos online and so forth, but the talks at an ICMI are fantastic. The atmosphere of being there is absolutely fantastic. But I'd say that even that's only 50% of the reason to go. The other 50% is the fact that you get to meet people in person that you've perhaps known online for years. and you get to network. And I met lots of people in face to face in the UK when I went to ICMI 16. We've developed a bit of a rapport because we know each other face to face, so I can pick up a Skype call to them and have a chat to them. The fact that we've met in person, there's some additional comfort there, if you know what I mean. So I've met a number of people at ICMI 16 that I've collaborated with in the last year, and that's because we met each other in person at the conference. So I really can't. And you get to, as well as that, you get to meet people. You know, Karen Strawn will be there, and Janice Fiamengo and so forth. And yeah, it's just great atmosphere.
Yeah, I've got the opposite. I've really got the opposite of I owe Paul Elam and Mike Buchanan a beer. Basically, they've both talked to me over, you know, online, and I've basically said, well, you know, come to ICMI and I'll buy you a beer, and I owe them a beer. So yeah, I guess I'm going to be buying a lot of beers at ICMI.
Well, hopefully, I will be going to ICMI in 2018, which, the way things are going, will probably be on the moon. So
I have a suspicion about where it might be, actually, but I'm not going to say.
But yes, anyone who gets the chance, go to ICMI. It's in June. Tickets are still available, early bird prices until the end of March, did you say?
That's right.
Yep. ICMI.info.
Yes, ICMI.info.
Yes, I was about to ask you for the website. So ICMI.info.
Yep.
Because it's full of information.
Exactly.
And I would love to hear from Medusa, because she's barely said a word during the entire thing.
Like that. I've been
It's
soaking it all in.
It's chilling out.
Very nice to meet you guys.
Yeah,
to have you on again soon.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So, any final shilling? So, we'll start with you, Mr. Rock.
What can I say? ICMI.info. Come on.
ICMI.
What's it? Anything but ICMI?
Still be on ICMI.
Sorry, I didn't catch it, actually. What did you say?
Is there anything you want to shill other than ICMI?
Other than ICMI. Okay. Well, actually, there may be some more screenings of the Red Pill around Australia over the next few weeks and months. So there's some plans afoot to do some more screenings. So
18th.
yes, that's
the 18th of this month. In fact, tomorrow, in other words, there will be a Sydney screening, and I have been involved in that, and I'm glad to be.
Absolutely. And for anyone who hasn't seen the Red Pill yet, go see it. It is available on a number of. It's available for pre-order on Amazon. I think those deliveries should start soon on that. And it is available on iTunes, I think, also, and some other services.
All right.
Now, also, is there any way people might be able to get in contact with you if they might have some questions about ICMI or just want to follow you because you're awesome?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So my email address is on voicefromn.com. So just have a look on there, on the, what are we, so I can't think of exactly what page it's on now, but it's pretty easy to find my email address on voicefromn.com.
Okay, and then for you, TV Esperanto, anything you want to share, and how can people find you?
Well, you can get me on mensrightsydney.com. .com. That's it. .com, not .com.au. mensrightsydney.com. That will get me. So anyone that sends anything to that email address will get me.
And anything you'd like to shill?
Not really. We're trying to help people, basically. So we try to help anyone who emails us, anyone who contacts us. Basically, we're trying to help guys, basically.
All right. And what about you, Vanessa? Anything you want to Say,
Well, there is, of course, you can follow me on Twitter at Vanessa W Cheese, and subscribe to the channel because I do Tuesday streams with this guy over here every Tuesday, and then we do this every Thursday. So yeah, check that out, and then I have Facebook pages for both my art and Modern Medusa. So yeah, go look at those, and then check out my Rage On store as well.
all right. And as for me, I will be doing a show tomorrow, my open mic, which anyone's available to come and just chat for about whatever. Next week, I will not be having any shows except for Cobra Cat on Tuesday. So my Thursday and Friday shows I will not be doing. I've got a lot of work that I need to get done. So by the end of the month, so I'm just going to take that week off. But check out my description. What's up?
I'm just kidding.
I didn't hear what you said, though.
I said, oh, thank God I need a break from you. I'm just kidding.
So anyways, check out my description box down below. You'll find my Patreon information there. I'm trying to raise money for getting health insurance so I can try to treat my disability, since being on state-funded Medicaid doesn't really help me that much. Doctors really just don't want to talk to me at all. So I'm hoping if I have some actual insurance, I can find an actual doctor to help me. But I am also trying to raise money for my computer because, like I said last night, my computer is attempting to commit suicide. It's pretty old, and things that I really want to do, and I really want to earn the money that anyone wants to give to me to help me out. Now, if you're not comfortable doing Patreon, perfectly understandable. Check out my book down below. It's like 14th century Templars, vampires, what have you. It's all in there. And my book is notable because it doesn't feature any prominent female characters in it. To write it that way, that's just what happens, but it's just no political BS in there. So first book is absolutely free. The second book that comes directly after that is only $2.99. Pick that up. If you like it, consider giving me a good review because that does help me out a lot. Once again, I thank the guests for coming on, Mr. Robert Brockway. I'm awesome.
You did.
And also TV Esperanto. Thank you both for coming on. Thank you, TV, for help setting all of this up. This was a wonderful treat today, even though it's at like 9 a.m. and usually I'm asleep at this time. But it's midnight for you, so we're both suffering.
Exactly.
Thanks very much for having us on, guys.
But you need to keep going with that feminist narrative that you're doing, the reading of the feminists. That is awesome. Yes. That is absolutely awesome.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I intend to get back to it this summer. I'm working the thing that I'm taking off for next week. It's part of that I'm trying to get done so I can get back to doing the feminist thing.
Why did you put it?
Well, it is fantastic.
So anyways, that's going to do it for us. I am Dix.
I'm Boobs.
Everyone have a good day.
And I'm an asshole.